Donncha O'Callaghan, how are you?
Yes, I'm great, brother. I'll be honest, I've been dreading this since the other night and the Munster-Ulster match. I'll do anything to chat about anything bar rugby over the course of this little while. I don't
Well,
mind looking forward.
we finished the podcast last weekend. It was a double header, Donncha against Bowe, and it was Leeds up against Liverpool. I think we could nearly take a win from that, from the
That
Leeds
was,
perspective.
geez, what a goal to win it or to draw it. Wow.
Yeah, it was. And then, of course, Ulster trouncing Munster.
25 points, Tommy. Jeez. Yeah, we'll go into it. I've no doubt. And you're looking quite smug. So, and to be fair, you haven't had a whole lot of joy with Ulster over the last few years. So go for it. Fill your boots.
How are you anyway? All good?
I'm good. Yeah, things are good. I'm bait into traitors. Are you watching?
I watched a bit of it last weekend. I watched it with my daughter, actually, and she loves it. Yeah,
Oh,
isn't it
great.
With this new
Brilliant.
secret traitor.
The secret traitor, yeah, that should be revealed by now. But do you know what? There's a weird one. I'm coming away from watching the traitors, starving. The food they get looks really good. Have you seen when they're just arsing around the castle and just having chats? Well, the other day I noticed they were having a beautiful lamb shank, and I was there. When was the last time you had a lamb shank?
Well, listen, if you want people to be their most devious, you want them to be full of food, chatting away, going on.
Yeah.
It's all the jellies. That's what I can't believe. Like the little snacks in the middle of the kitchen. My God.
Didn't Joe Myler say he put on something like 6 kgs over the course of the filming?
Did he actually? Yeah.
You could go back in and lock out a scrum, no problem. But that's what I'd love them to do in the Traders. Maybe if Claudia also had a spin-out cooking show from it. Like tonight's, the other night they had cottage pie, it looked like. You know what I mean? I was there. Geez, there's a good winter dinner. It's just not on the radar at the moment.
No, a good Irish stew is what they need.
There you go. That's the stuff.
Sorted.
Everyone's devious after an Irish stew.
Here, right, listen, we do have lots of rugby. It's a big weekend coming up. Obviously, the Challenge Cup and the Champions Cup, but really, I care about the Challenge Cup with Ulster.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's so big, it's in Amsterdam with no TV.
Listen, it beats going all the way down to South Africa. So, of course, Leinster have got La Rochelle, which is going to be a cracker of a match. Toulon up against Munster, another cracker of a match. Montpellier against Connacht, and the Cheetahs against Ulster. So, some brilliant matches in the Champions Cup this weekend. We give out about the Champions Cup quite a bit, but actually, some of the games this weekend are really, really exciting. So look forward to discussing.
Agreed. Even Negative Nelly here is excited about the Champions Cup this weekend. There's enough big games to get you through. If I was to bitch and whinge a little bit, Friday's light, man. I looked at Friday evening. I just think if you're going to kick off Europe, it's always great to have a big Friday game. And like the games that are on show is Cast and Bat, and I think it's Gloucester and
Edinburgh.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas you look at Sunday there, you can't leave the couch on Sunday.
Like literally, Toulon against Munster's at 1 o'clock, Bordeaux against Northampton is at 3:15, and Saracens up against Toulouse is at 5:30. Sunday's a day I'm meant to be doing a bit of family time. Like if that was Friday night, I'd be sorted. This has me screwed.
Yeah, make one of them Friday night, without doubt. Yeah, but yeah, look, for as much as we bitch and whinge about this competition, and I do think the format's right, we've been lucky that these games are, you know what I mean, good, and hopefully this should shake up the competition because, like, Jeannie, if you don't get results in certain areas, you know what I mean, the last week it's
going to be cracker.
Yeah.
It's going to be out for a lot of people. Listen, I want to get in to talk a little bit about managers. Ruben Amorim obviously has been let go from Man United. I want to discuss that. Before we do that, any interest in quirky stories you want to throw at me before?
Yes. Do you mind? There's been a few I've seen that will definitely give you a bit of a laugh. I've noticed there are different laws in countries for things that we would think are quite ridiculous. So in Switzerland, right, you can't buy just one guinea pig. You have to buy it's illegal. They're social animals and they need to be kept in pairs. So you have to have at least one guinea pig. And then listen to this. Talk about like HR issues. In Japan, there's an overweight waistline limit. So it's basically employers and local governments measure waistlines of people aged between 40 and 74, and those that are over the limit are encouraged, not arrested, to be fair, to lose weight through counselling and different programs. Not mad.
Do
I
you
wonder
know
what
that? It's funny in talking about that because we had Professor Donal O'Shea on Ireland
Oh,
AM this
yes.
week.
Conor O'Shea's brother.
Conor O'Shea's brother,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
the bulb off him. I tell you, the
Yeah.
two of them walk in, you don't know who you're talking to.
He's
But,
very bright too, isn't he?
He's very bright, unlike Conor. No, to be fair. Well,
Who's basically turned English rugby around.
Well, that's-
Harlequins has fallen down the thing. He actually bred life into Italian rugby. He's a genius.
well, he's the director of performance with English rugby,
Yeah,
so he's the
that's why
David
it's going right,
Humphreys
man.
former Nusafora with England. Gee, like, and just chatting briefly to Donal because obviously he was on to talk about obesity levels and everything
Yeah,
else.
of course, you turned it into rugby.
It was fascinating, and he's just
Yeah.
kind of going, listen, England, watch out, because they have some croppy young players coming through, big boys who are going to be,
Yeah.
they're going to be a team to look out for the next while. So I was a
Yeah,
bit
aren't you-
sickened by that.
Aren't you always envious? Aren't you glad you're not cousins of families like that? Like the O'Sheas there. You know what I mean? One's a genius medically. The other one is lighting up rugby. It's a bit like Shane Horgan's family.
Horgans, big time.
Like, you'd hate to be the Horgans cousins, wouldn't you? They're just all overachieving, doing brilliantly well. Yeah.
Sickener.
nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Christmas round at the Horgans house. Like, right, what did you get up to? What do you? Oh, well, we know what you lot
Yeah.
are all doing. Yeah,
Just
show
won a
off.
BAFTA. Yeah. Well, they're just about to collect another Golden Globe. What have you been at?
Award-winning podcasts, everything
There you go.
else. Yeah.
Do you know in
So
Singapore?
anyway, Donal was just saying, right, in the UK they're doing this thing where they're banning junk food advertisements on pop-ups and on TV up until 9 o'clock at night to try and stop kids being fucking having adverts for dodgy and sweet foods rammed down the throat all the times. And it wrecks my head because my kids, all they do is you walk into a supermarket with them, you walk through a petrol station with them, and you have to go through this maze of sweets. And if you
Yeah.
come out of there without a sweet treat, you're doing well. So
Yeah.
hopefully he gets that forward.
Well, it's a bit like South Korea. South Korea have.
For South Korea.
Listen to this. Video games are banned after midnight for under 16s. It's known as the Cinderella law, and basically you're not allowed to play video games beyond a certain hour when it comes to there. In Australia, this is meant to be true. I gotta check it a little bit more. It's illegal to change a light bulb unless you're a fully licensed electrician. I think that one is sketchy, isn't it? There's another one in Germany, right? If you run out of fuel on the autobahn, it's illegal. It's considered negligent. You need to be prepared if you're on the autobahn that you can't gamble on the yellow as you take it on.
Right.
So-
Well, because there's no speed limit on that, so they don't
Yeah.
want to take any risks on there.
And then
Any
in-
more? Oh, we're more right.
Italy, it's illegal to feed pigeons in Venice. Imagine that. And you-
Imagine that.
Yeah. Chewing gum in Singapore is effectively banned.
I heard
Did
that.
you know
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Right.
And-
Okay. Listen.
Enough. I'm deflecting
one
from the
more.
match. Well, no, there's a few more. I've a busload of them. That's what I do with my day. High heels are banned for drivers in Spain. So it's not appropriate to drive in high heels.
Okay, job done. Right, listen, let's move on to this, right? I obviously, big sacking, it was a day of sackings pretty much with Manchester United letting go of Amarin, Celtic sacked their boss. It's all been a bit chaotic. I can kind of say Arne Slot is just hiding behind the trees, hope and wondering how he's got away with it. But I was looking at the names of Man United's, so since Fergie is left, right? You've got David Moyes, you've Ryan Giggs, you've Louis van Gaal, you've Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, Ralph Ragnick, wasn't it called? Eric Ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Ruben Amorim. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 coaches since Fergie's left. Now, a couple of them were caretaker coaches. And I was kind of thinking, we need to discuss when a coach leaves and what happens when a coach leaves or when they're under pressure and what it's like when a new coach comes in and the impact that they have. And I was trying to think like of coaches. And when I was with Ulster, we went through a right few coaches and thinking, okay, let's go through the Ulster ones. But then I was thinking Munster, right?
Oh, of course you fucking were. Oh, of course you. I knew that you actually went too light. After the Ulster result, and here it is. You know what I mean?
But Munster are the Man United, aren't they? Right.
We're not
So-
United. No,
so
we're not
since-
United.
So since you had Declan Kidney, now correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm probably missing a few.
Oh no, I'm not going to be able to
Declan
remember. all
Kidney,
this.
obviously huge success with Munster, right? Then Tony McGann came in, Rob Penny, then of course Axel, Anthony Foley, then Razzie Erasmus, Johan van Gran, Stephen Larkham was there for a little bit, remember him? Graham Roundtree obviously came in. You've obviously Ian Costello was there for a bit. Prendy, do you kind of put him in the thing? Did
Well,
he
he's
take charge
still
at
there,
some
but
stage
you
as
could
well?
certainly put Felix and Jury there, couldn't you?
Felix and Jerry, they both left as well, and of course Clayton McMillan. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4,
stop,
5,
Tommy,
6,
stop
7,
counting.
8, 9 coaches. I mean, like the slagging that Munster are getting over this. Munster have got away. Munster always seem to get away lightly, don't they?
We get away lightly. We do in our ass, man. But yeah, it is a concern because you know it from being a player's point of view. Changes in coaches definitely does lead to a state of flux and consistency of, you know what I mean? It's selection, and also you're chatting to those players about your contract. So kind of, you know, like I think we probably see that now at the moment. Like many of the coaches, Clayton's inherited this squad. He hasn't been able to kind of put his full print on it yet of who he didn't like in around him. That'll take a bit of time, but yeah, transition hasn't been ideal. And I think Conor Murray stated that in his book a little bit about how the kind of revolving doors of coaches didn't help. But can I be overly harsh? I think that's where you need decent players. You know what I mean? You need driven, decent players that know that your window is fleeting and that they fucking drive it. I understand there's a massive role and the head coach does shape the whole culture of the kind of rugby performance, but I do think with a good playing group you can navigate it.
I think a good coach in a rugby team can have a bigger impact than in any other sport.
Yeah.
That's a sweeping statement, that is, right?
No,
But
I'd
I
agree
do
with you.
think that rugby is such a team sport. Like football, you can have absolute superstars and they can almost carry the team. You think of some of the amazing players that, I don't even want to pull it out because it'll show the
I'd
lack
agree with
of
you.
my football knowledge.
No, but
I think
you're
like
right.
DuPont is fantastic. DuPont is incredible. He's a once in a generation rugby player, and he's made look better because he's around a very, very strong team. But I think if you put DuPont into a lot weaker team with a weak pack, he wouldn't be quite the standout player he is nowadays. And I think that because
I don't know, that fella could drive the bus, man. I think he's just a little bit different.
well, he is, and he's in a pivotal position as well. But I do think that rugby is a team sport more than any other. And I think that a coach with the right direction and the right motivation and the right way to set up tactics and stuff can have such a huge impact on a team. And I just was thinking that like whenever I've been a part, so I kind of think back to when I was at the Ospreys. Remember we had Sean Holly on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the team that we had back then. Like it was
You were the Avengers, man. It was
a
honestly,
Galacticos.
it was a fantasy rugby team, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember looking at it going, if you could pick players, you'd pick them.
Big time.
And
then
Draco.
with Warren Gatland as head coach of Wales at that stage, I think they won like 3 Grand Slams or two Six Nations Grand Slams. And he was able to steer them in the right direction that was able to bring out the best. Where when we went back to the Ospreys, we kind of, Sean was there, but he was only in on an interim basis with Jonathan Humphreys. Scott Johnson came in for a little. There was real disconnect and nobody knew exactly what to. And I think if we had a really strong coach who was given the reins at that time, I think we would have done an awful lot better. And I just kind of think that with the likes of Munster and with Ulster to an extent as well, having different coaches coming through, that's why I think having consistency that Leinster have had, for instance, with Leo Cullen there, has made a big impact on them.
And we do say that a lot. He doesn't get enough credit. Sometimes it always goes on the people that are below him. But Leo, you know, is the driver of that kind of standards and pushing the place. And you know what I mean? I don't think his role is in question ever. You know what I mean? I do think there are moving parts around him that can change and evolve. But to throw that back to Munster, Tommy, I actually think we've the right man in the right spot, if you know what I mean. And what we need to do is back him more. I must say, I was so down after the match, so disappointed. And then I listened to his interview, and it fucking actually picked me up off the floor because he didn't hide. He grabbed the nettle. You know what I mean? He didn't make excuses. And he didn't move on. You know, it could be very easy to kind of, we'll review it on Monday. No, he was quite willing to kind of take it on. And it, like, you're right. Like, Richie probably inherited a team at the moment. I'd say Clayton's just realizing what he genuinely has. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I've been seriously impressed with him. I would love that type of accountability by the players on the pitch a little bit as well. For me, from just watching on, I remember kind of my greatest Munster teammates were tough on each other. We were really fucking hard on each other. Like, I remember Stringer didn't chat to me for 2 weeks because instead of getting to F1 as you go around the corner, I went into minus and didn't give him an option. And I remember he did not. He booted me as we ran across the pitch. And I tried to apologize maybe 4 times on the trip home, and he wasn't having any of it. Now I see, you know what I mean? I throw you a ball, you drop it, I go straight over and then rub you on the head. It's all right, fella. You know what I mean? I know we're in the world of kind of mental health and look after your teammate, but we're in high performance sport too. And holding each other to account is fucking vital. And I see the coach doing it. I'd love to see it more on the pitch. I'd love to see the players being really harsh on each other. Like, I remember we played Scarlets one time, and Alan Quinlan kicked me to get off the ground. And I remember my first reaction was to thank him for actually giving a shit so much to, you know what I mean?
To lift his leg. Yeah.
One day, I know
you. It's a big old arse to boot, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have to lift it too high.
No, the point I'm trying to make is that I think in the real world they call it radical candor, or you know what I mean, that honest appraisal where you actually give a shit about someone so much that you actually expose a flaw. And I just worry a little bit for Clayton. I see him doing it all the time, and I don't see it on the pitch as much. I don't, like, there was a few drop balls there, and I'm just going back to, like, fellas would lift you, would honestly absolutely inhale you for showing them either that type of a pass or not holding it.
You've got a bit of Roy Keane about you on this, don't you? Like, even I would imagine this pisses you off as well in an interpro derby, them going around shaking hands and laughing after the match.
It wasn't even that. It was picking Ulster lads up off the floor. You know what I mean? I bunks up and then I help you up. Like, Tommy, I got on with you. I liked you an awful lot. You know what I mean?
Oh,
but
not on the pitch, man.
On an
not on the
interpro, I
pitch.
wanted to rip your head off. And you were the same, to be fair.
Totally, yeah.
Same with Trimble. You know what I mean? Like, Stephen Ferris, Rory, all of you. You know what I mean? But then I suppose that's when you kind of earn your respect a little bit. But I'm sick of the fucking whining, man. I'm sick of reading in Conor Murray's books that the trip to Treviso, like, I remember Anthony Foley stepping on a bus, you know, when we were going to places like that, going, we don't use this as an excuse, you know what I mean? Like, if they're good enough to beat us, fair enough, but we don't use all the shit of travel, you know what I mean? Because that's an excuse, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's difficult. I remember we travelled up to Ulster one time with Jim Williams, and I remember the first thing he got on the phone to George Best Airport to say, is there a better way to get to Cork? You know what I mean? Like, this is before kind of Google was as sharp, but he was just ringing information to kind of go. And they were like, you could fly to Birmingham and then from Birmingham or whatever it was. You know what I mean? He was there like, that was madness. But like, fuck, that's the gig, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I see it all coming from Clayton. I see his standards, and I don't see them dipping. I think he's true to himself. His compass is right. We have to get. I just hope the players buy in and start being tougher on each other. Because
listen, he's very few months into the
well,
the
you're
group.
giving him the fucking boo, which are United.
No. He's very impressive. I'd say United would love to have somebody like him, but that's a big coup for the IRFU and for Munster to get him. Like, coming straight from the Chiefs, a guy who breeds culture, who he says all the right things for Munster. So I do think he's a great coach to have there, and he'd be pissed off. Like, you could see he was pissed off with that result. From Richie Murphy's point of view, though, like, Richie's mandate to come into Ulster is to try and bring through these young players, these young guys coming through the academy. And I'm just delighted to see
Yeah.
young Ulster players being given an opportunity to represent the province. And listen, I think no better than Andy Ward's two boys, Zach and Jesus, what's his brother's name again? The two Ward, Bryn Ward again. Jeez, he's like a young Sean O'Brien. I mean, my God,
Jeez.
like they
You
were
could see,
so
the
impressive.
one, the one he knocked on at the base of the scrum.
Yeah.
He nearly got too excited, wasn't it? He was like, "Oh my God, look what's in front of me! I'm going to," and then, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? But you don't fall that, especially with a young player. Yeah, he was.
But it
He was
kind of goes,
incredible.
it goes back to almost like Leo's dig a little bit at Munster, talking about the amount of Leinster players kind of in that Munster squad. Like, and that's really what I think is keeping Ulster supporters so happy, because we all realise that there are an awful lot of very, very talented Leinster players that come into the different teams and certainly add to it. But we want to see homegrown players. And I think, listen, from
Yeah, but
Richie's point of view, he's doing a super job of
of
that.
course, that's reflected on us. But if you look at that Ulster match, like 3 of the 10s were Munster boys. You know what I mean? Jake Flannery, who I'd say would frustrate Tony Butler, who was on the bench. You know what I mean? Seeing him run in that score, like, I just, like, you have to give guys opportunities and stuff like that. But I just, fucking, I saw his performance against Argentina, Tony Butler. He was brilliant. You know what I mean? And then you just have to wait so long. And then I look at Ulster, who were empowering all these young fellas. You know what I mean? And I'd love to see a little bit more of that. And you gotta justify it, and your performances need to be big enough. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I find it so hard. I don't know how these players do it, that they're out for so long and they come back in and they're expected to be right up to speed straight away. I mean, it's a testament to the coaching and the training that goes on behind the scenes. It's bringing me on to another one, obviously, from a Munster point of view.
Can we chat about the lamb shank, Yvonne,
No,
please,
well,
man? I'm too raw for this.
This is more like IRFU actually thinking about looking ahead. And it was Rory O'Connor wrote an article in the paper this week talking about the IRFU should be plotting Ronan O'Gara's return to Irish rugby, and Leinster could be the perfect entry point.
Tell me, do you know what I mean? Jog on, fella. You know what I mean? I know you're looking for Leinster, the Leinster supporters boo Rog when he comes up on the big screen. You know what I mean?
They won't this weekend.
They will
if Leinster are winning.
Yeah, but they will.
Leinster would love Rog. Leinster would love Rog.
They would. Look, one thing I'll say, I watched that match against Connacht, and the biggest thing I've been tough on with them is their attack. But their attack actually looked like it had a bit more shape. If you look at that Dan Sheehan try, you could see them playing that wide game plan where he stays on the edge. Now, you'd have to question Connacht's defence. You know what I mean? That it never stressed it any bit that they could kind of go.
Second half, though, they were very impressive in the second half, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Look, I know what people say, that you want them back in around the system, but sorry, personally, for me, I couldn't see it, man. I couldn't see.
Couldn't see Rog going to Leinster, or do you right?
I couldn't see Rog going to Leinster. I couldn't see Rog going to Leinster.
I'm having a look at this, right? So,
but one thing I'll say about that is they're probably, one, the only ones that could afford him, and two, that have the cattle that he could work with probably at the moment. You know what I mean? Like if you look what he has in La Rochelle, he's an unlimited budget in terms of, it's between him and the owners or the board or whoever owns that club to go and finance and get what he wants. I know there's probably salary caps and stuff, but it's unlimited, isn't it? Whereas the Irish system's a little bit different, so he'd have to work a little bit different. But if you look the way Leinster have been set up, they're the only ones with the deepest pockets and the talent pool to probably be of interest to him.
For Rog to move, he would want to further his career, which means he would want to be winning European Cups. And realistically, Leinster are the only team there at the minute that could do that in an Irish perspective.
We haven't seen it yet, though. But they have a 2-time World Cup winning coach, man, in the setup at the moment.
Well, right. So this is what I'm talking about, right? So in terms of Rory's article here, he's talking about the IRFU should be thinking, and probably are thinking down after the Rugby World Cup in 2027, that if Farrell decides not to extend his contract, who is going to take over the reins there, right? So you've got Ronan O'Gara, which obviously would be one of the key names in that pot. Coming out of contract at that same time as well, you have Leo Cullen, you have Jacques Nienaber, You have Scott Robertson, you have Stuart Lancaster, you have Borthwick. I don't think Mark McCall, sorry, but he is another option I thought might be a person who could be of interest in that. Do you think these sort of talks and plotting is going on at the moment?
No,
Do you think
I don't.
no?
I think the Irish system is following the New Zealand model of internally growing the players. And we've seen that over the summer with Simon taking it during the Six Nations. And then when Simon went off to the Lions, Paul, I think you need to probably be within the coaching group. And I think that gives, like we see how well it worked with Farrell doing it after Joe Schmidt. And I think it gives consistency. And I think it's what, with the way their system is set up, it's the best for it. Of course, you never rule out unbelievable talent, and you want to have conversations with the best. The best person should get it, but
I do agree with you to an extent that the likes of Simon, the likes of Paulie would be that natural progression, a little bit like what Andy Farrell was after Joe Schmidt. But even in terms with New Zealand, you might not have to be within the All Black setup, but you have to be coaching within New Zealand. So realistically, if ROG was to be in contention to be that Irish coach, he'd have to be coaching an Irish province.
Yeah, well, look, when you mentioned Clayton Macmillan, that was my concern, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's a player, he's a proper coach. You know what I mean? He's standards, he's values, he gets his messages across.
And there's no doubt him coming over here would have international aspirations.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Scotty Robertson under pressure as well. You wonder, is that the kind of side of it? If that opened up, would Rog come back to Munster? There you go. There.
Well, yeah. Well, there you go. Exactly.
There you go. Do you know what? I think these kind of ones are. This is complete January fantasy. I've nothing to fill my column space around, so I'll just throw an absolute sprat of nonsense.
You have to think for the future, Don. Listen, there's no doubt Humph has these charts in his notepad or on his wall somewhere.
Deadpool, yeah. Honestly, they 100% would. But like, I think the way the Irish model has to work, and the only way it survives is integration of, like, Sexton up with G. Like, is he next in to a probably coaching role? Like, do you cultivate from within inside? You know what I mean? Do you look at, okay, he's going well with Ulster, he's got them firing an attack. Yeah, he's someone we should keep an eye on the radar and now plug him in, you know? A little bit, especially with there being A matches and stuff like that. I'm not too sure, but I personally, I love him to bits, and I'd love to see him back in the Irish fold. I'd love if it was right for his family and stuff like that. Personally, it would burn my eyeballs to see him in blue, though. It genuinely would. I couldn't handle it, man.
What about, would you prefer him to coach England or coach Leinster?
Look, Tommy, don't you be a bollocks. Like, you know what I mean? That's like you kind of going, would you like me to hit you with the hammer, or would you like to impale yourself on this blunt object? You know what I mean? Like,
listen, the job's a job, man.
You know what I mean?
And he's put himself out there for the England job a few times.
Yeah, he has. I do think international coaching would also suit him. You know what I mean? I thought the Australia job when it came around a little bit. I think he would make an incredible international coach. Yeah, I'd like to see him coaching internationally. Like, we know that's way more work than people probably think, but maybe it would kind of give him like that top 14. Geez, how he's been able to keep it all going. Like,
phenomenal.
Not just 5 kids, man. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know how he does it.
He doesn't. Sorry. Yeah.
But like, you see him doing off the ball, you see him doing different things, and you're thinking, how are you getting, like, he was in fucking Australia for the Lions.
Yeah, himself and Dan Bigger. He was on the lash with you. We all saw that.
He was, and he was mighty form as well.
Right.
Okay, let's take a quick break quickly for a few of these before we start talking about the rugby this weekend. Thank you so much for listening to the Offload podcast. We would love if you joined us in the dressing room. Every Tuesday night, you'll get the opportunity to get exclusive content. We'll have no adverts, and you get into the draw to win some badly needed and much loved rugby tickets.
You're not wrong, Tommy. There you go. Step into the dressing room. Head to offloadpodcast.com. That's offloadpodcast.com. And for €6 a month, you could join us in the dressing room. We'd love to answer your questions.
We sure would. You putting the boots on?
Let's go, Tommy. Let's tug out.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back. We're just talking Ron O'Gara. Right, let's talk about the first weekend, first match with the Leinster province, with the Irish provinces this weekend. La Rochelle, ROG is in town in the Aviva Stadium. 40,000 tickets sold at least already against Leinster. It's going to be a
Brilliant.
cracker of a game.
Yeah, that should be. And look, there's where you build up proper rivalries, isn't it? It's losing in big games. We had it with Argentina in
Yeah.
kind of World Cups. Munster, the Ospreys had it a bit as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, there's been consequences to the loss, but I just looking at it as well. If you want to kind of, you need to be in the kind of first few seedings as well, don't you? Like, there's implications on every point in these games as well. So I think this should be a cracker. Geez, La Rochelle thumped Toulon. I watched that over the weekend, but like Toulon didn't have much of a team, but geez, La Rochelle put them to the sword.
Well, 60-0, like fucking hell. Like, and I know there were a lot of young lads there, but Jesus, talk about getting yourself back into
There was a
form.
back row playing. Honestly, there was a back row playing for Toulon. I honestly thought, you know what I mean? Has someone rang his mom and told him he's out past 8 o'clock? Like, God love him.
Hold on, you're just making excuses for Munster this weekend, just in case the same back rower is playing again this weekend.
I wish I was in the studio with you because you'd get it today. You're well up, one win and you're away. Look at you.
Well, what do you, way do you see that? Because La Rochelle last year, Munster, what a performance against them. Roused by Mick Galway up on the forklift, getting the crowd going. I mean, but like Leinster and La Rochelle, as you said, there is history there. You know, going back to European Cup finals, whatever else, and particularly in the Aviva Stadium where they've faced each other before as well. Like, this is going to bring back good memories for La Rochelle. So, I mean, Jesus, it could be a cracker.
I agree, and it's the time where players are hitting their straps as well. I think, you know what I mean. It was a really long year, and we probably haven't seen people kind of put in the performance. But I looked at like Gibson Park, Dan Sheehan. Now you can see them starting to kind of simmer away, and this is the time where you gotta get hot. You know what I mean? It's the most important rugby, and then into Six Nations. So they're all just about to kind of shake it off and probably explode. So I think this game could be quite incredible because both of these teams will want to go deep. Like, I know Rog, man, Europe means everything to that fella. I understand top 14 is huge in France, but he has a graw for it. He's a want for them to do well. And Leinster the exact same. These two teams will want to probably come up against each other again as it goes on, but yeah, I think that's going to be a belter of a match. I just think home advantage, and you know what I mean, might be a bit too much.
Leinster's opportunity to really show they're back in business again. I think this is the one.
And they have been getting the results, haven't they? And they have been getting the performances. I think what's your name's reffing, isn't he? Cardi, the fella that was wearing the gloves at the weekend. What's his name?
Right.
The fella that pinged us. Yeah, that pinged us off the pitch.
Carly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's wearing gloves. Love that. That's the one that you picked up on. He's wearing gloves.
Did you see him, man?
No,
Ref wearing gloves. Ah, jeez.
It's cold out there. Fair play to him. Was he wearing leggings as well? I'd be doing the exact same.
Might as well. You would. You definitely would.
Well, what do you think about Toulon then? Obviously, losing by 60 points at the weekend. Surely Munster should beat them handy enough.
Yeah, stop it, Tommy. Will you come off it? It was their C team. You know what I mean? That is a tough task. Really is, going over there, and there's plenty of travelling support. Mario O'Callaghan's gone to it.
Is she?
You'll get a laugh, Tommy. She has left on Wednesday. I think she goes. I think it's like 2 flights. There's a stop in Limerick first, then on to Kilkenny, and then up to Dublin. It's involving like kind of 4 or 5 nights to get over to it. Yeah.
Are you serious? And then they're flying from Dublin, obviously.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. But there will be, I think it's not ideal that it's a Sunday, if you know what I mean, for that kind of travel and stuff like that. But I do think Munster supporters love kind of big game, and that's one they would definitely have picked. But I just hope, honestly, or whatever about results, performance, man. We were so off at the other night, you know what I mean? And then I worry a little bit that the reliance is on too much on Crowley and Tyke Byrne a little bit more to kind of bring in. We know it, Tommy. Like, they're your they're your marquee players. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
they'll always go well. But what you need is your foot soldiers, man.
yeah.
Driving standards and a little bit. And I think that's what's missing at the moment. But do
I
you know
mean,
what? I nearly fucking tog out Macmillan, man. I put him in a pair of boots. Imagine him.
what position was he?
8. Could you
Was he
imagine
in
him?
it? Big
He'd be
lad,
like, you're
yeah.
a young fellow war there, picking from the end, getting giddy.
You're right. Jeez, I tell you, he could be one to look out for. All right. Because Munster have Gloucester then next weekend, who aren't going well in the English Premiership. So
No,
if Munster can,
we've cast the following weekend, isn't it?
no,
Maybe I'm
do
wrong.
you?
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought we already did Gloucester.
Oh no, sorry, Toulon. You're right. Toulon
Yeah.
have got Gloucester.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, right? Okay, Cass.
Yeah.
How are Cass going in the league? Let's have a look here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to keep an eye on it because, you know what I mean? They don't matter to us until next week. I know that sounds nuts, but like...
9th in the French league, but it's hard to know what to read into that as well. Castaway are going to be a tough one. Okay, right. So that's 2 tough weeks pretty much for Munster. 2 French teams.
Yeah. Sure. There we go. Poor old Munster. Always
No
getting
bother
the tough
to you.
field. Yeah.
Talk about other poor teams. Montpellier up against Connacht. Cheetahs up against Ulster. What are you thinking of Connacht? Because I don't know, with Stuart Lancaster, like they were going so well up until half time up against Leinster last weekend, and just they were able to blow them away in that second half. And Montpellier away from home to them is going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, agreed. I'll be honest, I've been a little bit disappointed with the bunks, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I thought Lancaster would go in there and get more of an immediate bunks in terms of, but again, I put it on the players, Tommy. Like, I know you have systems for defence, and that needs to be coached a little bit more. You know what I mean? But like, I go back to Sean Edwards, like, and Sean Edwards' line about like defense shows me what you're like as a man. You know what I mean? It reveals your character, and fucking, it's just too leaky too many times. I know they're missing the likes of Mac and you know what I mean, stuff like that, but I've been disappointed. It was a bad weekend for me overall, with Connacht going that poorly as well. I just thought there'd be more of a bounce, and I know they're. What's disappointing for me is they're all eyes on Leinster for opening that new stadium. You know what I mean? And you know that they'll bring that emotional buy-in and on that big day, but it's consistency of effort is what you need.
You got to worry about like Connacht. I think they've only won 1 in their last 5 matches. So obviously lost against Leinster, lost against Ulster, lost against the Dragons away from home.
Yeah, that was awful.
Beat Black Lion, absolutely hammered Black Lion, obviously in the Challenge Cup, but you would expect it to do so, and even lost to the Ospreys away from home as well. So it hasn't been a good run for them guys at the minute. And Montpellier,
well up against the Ospreys as well. Just that's what annoys me about Connacht, the mental slips. You know what I mean? That ruthless edge. And I do think, again, I'm going back to it, I think that's on players. That leadership group of when you have someone on the rack being ruthless to get, you know what I mean, to get home and get the result. And look, I know they have their kind of leadership group, but I go below it always. I look at the foot soldiers who is just churning through work and, you know what I mean, leading by actions. That's what Ulster had the other night, man. They'd loads of it. They'd like, you look at McCluskey there, you know what I mean? You wouldn't chat about him as the kind of natural leader, would you? You know, I wouldn't say he'd go down as a skipper in the team. They'd probably look at someone else.
No.
It shows all the way, all the time. And then it's so easy for the wards and everyone else to fly in behind it, you know?
And there's a lot of players in that Connacht side that are pushing to be an Andy Farrell squad. I mean, you think of, obviously Mac Hansen's out at the minute, but you think of like the likes of Finlay Beelum, obviously is kind of number 2 to Tyg Furlong. You think Cian Prendergast was brilliant in November there. You think that Ben Murphy at 9 is a player that's really been talked up as being a successor to Gibson Park and how exciting he is. You have Bundy Aki then at 12 as well. Like, so they do have some quality players here as well. And I just listen from Stuart Lancaster, so much talk, and obviously Kieran Frawley going there next year. There's talk of him trying to poach a few more Leinster players. You know, you just be thinking that they'll be hoping to see a little bit more results, particularly in the next while.
Agreed. And look, I don't want to take away, because I can't talk out both sides of my mouth when it's acceptable for Clayton Macmillan to have time and make sure you're 100% right. That's exactly what has to happen with Lancaster as well. But I thought the biggest area that he can fix is defense. If you know what I mean, that kind of. I just think it does involve talent, but it more so is a desire thing. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's just been. Maybe it's because you went through the kind of coaches at Munster, but maybe they've had so many voices in it that they need to strip it right back. You know what I mean? Maybe a Sean Edwards consulting there for a few weeks and just come in and just actually knock all the bells off it and just bring it back to basics is probably what's needed a bit, you know? So
Listen, maybe if they go away from home to Montpellier and they get the win, that'll certainly turn it around. But when you're looking at the league table, 2 wins out of 8 in the URC is not good enough from a Connacht point of view. Ulster playing in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, man.
Against
Look
the
at this.
Cheetahs.
How has this even come about? I was looking through, like, trying to record it because I was there. Like, I just wouldn't mind even seeing what a stadium looks in Amsterdam.
Oh, I'd say you do. Yeah, I'd say you were mad to watch it.
But it's not even on telly, Tommy. Like, isn't that the greatest jolly of all time for those lads? Surely.
Well, according to this, it's on BeIN, it's on EPC Rugby.tv. You can watch it on Flow Rugby, whatever that is, or you can watch it in Super Sport. So check in on all those. You'll be able to watch it. Unfortunately,
I don't have any of them. I
you
got
can't
the
see
main
it on-
one, and I got a shit match on Friday night.
I can't see it on Premier Sports, unfortunately. No, it's not been televised on that, but it's going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah, it'll be a big one. Jeez, that's a bit of crack, isn't it? A game in Amsterdam. Like, you know what I mean? Like, can I be honest? What's your thinking here for Ulster? Like, it's all league this year for you, isn't it, Tommy? Like, and then back into Champions Cup next year. Or, like, would you have ambitions in this competition?
No. Like, listen, Ulster lost away from home to Cardiff Blues, and they were in a real commanding position in the second round there. They beat Stade Francais at home. Unbelievable performance against them. Or no, sorry, Racing they played against. They beat them. And to lose against Cardiff is a bit annoying now. They're only 1 win from 2. They've got the Cheetahs and then they've got Stade Francais at home. And I just think, Donncha, Ulster haven't won a trophy since 2006. And even they don't even have to win, but to get to a semi-final, to get to a final, to give the Ulster supporters a big day out. It's been so long. They got to the final of the European Cup against Leinster. Was that back in 2012 or something then, where Leinster really were the dominant team that day? But realistically, from Ulster supporters, yes, finishing first, second, third, fourth in the league would be fantastic. And they really want to get into the Champions Cup next year. That's really important from a financial point of view. But actually, just to get the big day out, to be in with a chance to lift a trophy. And even though you call it a Mickey Mouse trophy, I still think
I'm taking
a picture of a team all lifting a trophy could just lift the squad. So lift the
100%.
squad so much, lift the supporters. A big day out, a little bit like Mary heading off to Toulon.
Yeah.
We all love an excuse for a day out, and a final would be fantastic.
Well, the perfect example of that is Bath last year. You know what I mean? Winning that basically put kind of wind in their sails for driving on with the Prem. And you could imagine if Ulster are in that, it's probably keeping all the balls in the air for the moment, isn't it? I do think, though, prioritising league in terms of, like, because you got to balance player, you know what I mean, when you play them and when you tog them out a little bit. So I just think for Ulster this year.
Yeah, totally. But I just think that Ulster are lucky that they're not missing many players to the Irish team at the minute. The standard maybe of going against the Cheetahs, who aren't in the league, in the URC anymore. So, they will be expected to try and get a good result over there. Now, particularly be a banana skin away from home in Amsterdam. There's going to be loads of different sides to that one. But
there will be. Trying to get the lads in.
Well, trying to get them home again.
I'm going out for a coffee. No, you're not.
Going out for a coffee and a brownie. Jesus, I tell you what the WADA will be all over that one.
WADA is actually sitting outside. No young fella's going to come back with any armpit hair or anything. They're just going to have a field day with them.
They'll be literally walking in with, the brown bag of just like, oh yes, we've got some croissants there and so pan au chocolat, some brownies. Have you checked what's in those, mate?
It brings nutrition to a whole new level, but it's kind of good to see as well that the game, and doesn't it make complete sense? Imagine a trip to South Africa now.
Brutal. It would be horrific for one match to then turn around to come back and play Stade Francais in Ulster. So listen, I personally would love to see Ulster really push hard at the Challenge Cup. I just would love to see them go far in that competition. And there are some good quality sides in there. Like you think Montpellier who are going well
Yeah.
in the French league. You think of the likes of even the Lions, Stade Francais are flying in the league as well. So
No,
it won't be easy, but
no,
great
but it happened to
opportunity.
us, Tommy. Not just saying that we got knocked out of Europe, and at that point in the competition, there was like a slip door into the Amelin, was what it was
Yeah.
called then,
Yeah.
and we played Harlequins at home. And I'll be honest with you, we didn't give a shit about it because it was in Europe, and then the only time we really cared was after we'd lost. You know what I mean? And
Of
I
course.
remember Marcus Horn saying it. You know what I mean? It's the competition you don't give a shit about until you're out of it. And
Missed the trick on that one.
yeah, big time. If you can be ruthless. And to be fair, Richie has, you know what I mean, whatever like attack is flying, and you know what I mean, they're playing really smart. I do think it is a big weekend though for Irish rugby to one step up. The intensity needs to come up another level. All those international players that we're going to see in green over the next week need to step up. We need to see big performances from guys that we want to see in the Six Nations. And I think at 9, I just think Gibson Park is so far ahead at 9. I just think someone's got to grab 9. You know what I mean? So there's got to be more conversations about it. You know, Craig Casey coming back, of course, like he's in the mix, but I just think we need way more competition in certain areas, and that's a big one for me at the moment. Like
everybody talks about it half, and you forget if Gibson Park steps away from the Irish team. Yeah,
big time.
Okay, right. Some brilliant rugby this weekend to look forward to. Give us. I want to hear who thinks going to win between Bordeaux, Northampton.
Ooh, the box office of a game, because especially the bad blood of that final. Remember at the end of the whistle, Pollock was involved in a bit of a scuffle, and then they were all doing the kind of taking the piss out of him with that stuff. So I'd say
in the final last year,
yeah, and I know Dowse, like Phil Dawson. I know that will be one, it kind of hurting them, and like it didn't go, like they probably had to go too long into the competition. I see Northampton doing something special. I think I just think it'll be good for the competition. I think it'll be good for them as well. And
okay, what are you thinking of Toulouse against Saracens?
Yeah, just looking at Saracens over the last while, I don't know. They're going to have to find something big, but
like if Toulouse lose this, right, or Saracens lose this, that's 2 losses out of 3. Yeah. They're under you're under a bit of pressure. Then you're away probably in the last 16.
Exactly. You lose that kind of home advantage, which would be massive to either of them because they're tough places to go unless you're Exeter. So yeah, it's I just think Toulouse have two great, too deep of a squad, and they've too much of a love for the competition. I know Saracens do as well, but it honestly gave me great heart there. It was the one that saved that round 2, was it, when Glasgow beat them over there? But the fact that they sent everyone over, I was there like, fucking good on you for still caring. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it is. Listen, it's great. It's a really exciting weekend to look forward to, particularly Sunday. Jeez, it's going to be brilliant. And of course, the 2 Irish provinces involved are Leinster, obviously, and
you call that for us. How did that go? Leinster, La Rochelle, or La Rochelle?
La Rochelle. I think Leinster will win at home. I think the 7 wins in a row. Oh, there you have it.
The dog doesn't like that reply.
Saved by the
even Shadow's monsters to the core. He's there. You're going against ROG.
Enjoy the rugby this weekend. ROG is in his audition for the new Irish coaching job. Or
Leinster supporters, don't boo him. He's one of our greatest. Do you know what I mean? Please, bit of manners.
See you, man.
Slow on.
Oh, Jesus, Donncha, and another thing. What about the live shows?
Yes.
Dublin seems to be going well, man. We're almost sold out in Dublin, man. Get those tickets in. The final few Leinster supporters, the blue media, keep Donncha happy.
There you go. The outside rail, Dublin coming good. We've got over the finish line with Belfast. Belfast is sold out, Tommy, and fair play to everyone rallying around for you there, and definitely brilliant to see. But it was the main one was, like you said, you know what I mean? The 5th of March in the Ambassador, there is only a final few tickets left. We would love to see you. It's going to be a great night. It is the night before Ireland take on Wales. So do get the final few tickets to see us in the Ambassador on the 5th of March. And we are playing the University Concert Hall in Limerick on the 4th of March, the night before it. And then Friday the 13th, we're in City Hall in Cork. So all great nights. I know it's difficult January, but to have something to look forward to there around the rugby would be great, wouldn't it?
Big time. I've loaded my family just in the group WhatsApp going, wow, we're all going for food. So yeah, the pressure is going to be on. Listen, we look forward to seeing you all there. Please do get out there and get your tickets. Check out ticketmaster.ie.